The Falun Gong is a Chinese cult started in 1992 by Li Hongzhi, who claims to be a supernatural being from another dimension sent to Earth to save humanity through a combination of breathing exercises and books on tape. The pitch is that if you follow Master Li's teachings, you can eventually cleanse your body of all weakness and illness and eventually transcend the fleshy prison of the cursed human world and ascend to a higher plane of existence where you can become a perfect godlike being, much like Master Li himself. It's a lot like Scientology, basically. And much like Scientology, as long as you profess undying loyalty to the Master, you will eventually be saved when the era of great cleansing comes and the enlightened are separated from the impure. Incidentally, in Master Li's world, impure behavior includes things such as using medicine, homosexuality, and race mixing. So yes, the whole thing seems a bit nuts. You see, Master Li believes that every race was created by a different god, and therefore all of the different races of the world should stay separate and never mingle or cross-contaminate with each other. He is quite infamously opposed to mixed race people, who he considers to be spiritually defective. And in the next life, all of the different races will each live on their own planet, and we'll all be a lot happier. I believe this was an idea that Barney on The Simpsons once promoted as well.
I'm just saying that when we die, there's going to be a planet for the French, a planet for the Chinese, and we'll all be a lot happier.
Mr. Gumbel, you're upsetting me.
No, I'm not.
China's true destiny is to purify itself of all foreign ideas, and indeed even most modern ones. This is a man who is fiercely anti-medicine and anti-science. His website even brags that at his compound in New York, there's barely a screw, nail, or metal joint to be found. Now, given the generally backwards-looking nature of his worldview, it may be unsurprising to learn that Master Li cribs a lot of his spirituality from ancient Chinese superstitions and folklore. And one traditional Chinese belief that he seems to be super into is this idea that our emotional and mental health is ultimately connected to the 5 essential organs of the human torso: the liver, the lungs, the heart, the kidneys, and the spleen. Meaning, as you become more emotionally and mentally strong, your torso organs get healthier too. Master Li pushes an elaborate system of behavior and thought controls on his followers, which are known as Falun Dafa.
Falun Dafa is an advanced cultivation system that was created by Mr. Li Hongzhi. It originates from the Falun Dafa cultivation practice in the Buddha school and cultivates Jun Shan Ren, or truthfulness, compassion, forbearance, the supreme characteristics of the universe.
The basic gist is that Master Li puts some magical force inside of your tummy, which is known as the Falun, and the Falun lets you harness all of the world's positive energy, which is known as Gong.
The Falun that Master has planted at the lower abdominal area automatically absorbs energy from the universe, transforms the energy, and helps a practitioner to practice. When rotating counterclockwise, the Falun emits energy. It can correct all abnormal states and bring salvation to sentient beings.
Properly harnessing this energy, in turn, requires doing a lot of repetitive, mind-numbing meditation exercises, as spelled out in the Master's various books and videos and multi-day seminars. But it's all worth it, because Master Li says that those who prove their allegiance to Falun Dafa will eventually achieve superhuman levels of happiness, success, and health, just like him, the greatest man who has ever lived.
He depicts it as though it's like a science in a sense. It's a wisdom tradition. It's actually ancient. It's actually the most ancient thing. And he criticizes Western science because that kind of desensitized Chinese people from their archaic practices, which were actually much more effective. Like Chinese medicine was more effective, and he like disparages Western technology, saying that, well, in the past, with all these powers from the meditation and from the, you know, enlightened states that people were able to achieve. People could fly around, things like that. But yeah, he doesn't argue a system. He just gives a bunch of anecdotes about how he beat people in various circumstances. That's the majority of that book. But he has all sorts of other interesting things to claim about history. So first of all, the Earth is much, much older, or rather humanity is much, much older than we think. Millions and millions of years old. And mermaids are real. That's something that I got to learn from him directly. He was on the bus with us at one point, and he got up at the front and took questions. And I should have come up with a better question, but I asked him, and he doesn't really speak English very well, so someone translated for me. But I asked him, like, where did the creator come from in your system? Which is a typical, like, atheist talking point with theists. And he said, oh, I don't know that. And then he went into saying, like, but the universe is so big, and just unrelated stuff that works on his audience. But that's kind of another thing about the system. It's really about following Li Hongzhi is trying to get onto his planet, his world that he governs in the next life. Like, reincarnation is real, and there are countless worlds out there, which I kind of believe as well, but not in this materialistic sense that he does. But like, there are the atoms in your body, there are worlds there, and there are different levels that you can incarnate into. Different, like, base material that you can be made up of, elevated material, and it's, you know, not systematic, but just all these kind of interesting notions floating around in the system. So mermaids are supposed to be real, people of all sorts of different colors, not like modern races, but like, you know, green people, red people. Just typical New Age components, part of it, combined with the most ridiculous stuff I've ever heard.